Welcome back to Season 6 of the Changing Earth podcast with author Sara F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hi, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 203, season 6, episode 3. And I am back with Chen Gibson today. Chen, how you doing?
Hey, chin's up.
Man, I have just been working that crazy schedule, but it's
I
been
could
fun.
tell.
Yeah, my brain's a little scattered. So, but I got my garden in, and that was awesome.
White painted fence.
Mostly painted. I had to keep it a little redneck, you know. I think I was telling you when I got down to it, I'm like, what costs more, the pallets or the paint?
Right?
So I was like, screw it, man. I'd rather just replace a pallet.
We just did a project and we hit it right because they had, it was Lowe's had a sale for Memorial Day on paint.
Oh, perfect.
$15 off on a gallon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was good. Good sale.
I know. I was looking at the exterior paint. I'm like, this is crazy. We're going to pay how much for the paint to paint $2 pallets? Okay. I guess. So, no, but we put like a little pathway in it. And now we got all our tomatoes and cucumbers. We've been getting thunderstorms every night. If you can believe that. It's coming off the mountains and backpedaling at us. We're in June and we're still getting rain. And my brother lives up a little bit higher than me. They just got hit with hail again last night. It's been wiping out all their gardens up there.
It's been just a crazy beginning. It's what, the third? I mean, we're recording the beginning of June and it's the weather. It's been so hot. It's been hot in the hundreds here on the East Coast.
Well, see, that should be me complaining about that and you complaining about rain.
Literally, like it was 104 on my car thermometer.
Oh my gosh.
At like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, see, I don't mind that. Well, I kind of do. Once it's over like 95, it gets a little hot. But now that I've been out here so long, I'm like, I like the warm weather. I don't like the cold anymore. I'm getting my pool together too, so that's awesome. I was actually thinking about a show on the pool because our pool is like the little crappy $300 pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
It holds like 5,000 gallons of water or something like that. And
good water source in case you had a fire.
Well, in case you had a fire or like long-term survival strategy, you can't drink that water, but you can use it for a whole lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was thinking about doing an episode on that, how to take care of it, you know, because they get nasty fast, like little nasty ponds.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff you need to do with water.
Yeah, exactly.
You could use that for and conserve the potable water.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the water, keep your water for drinking and then use that for all of your washing or whatever. So, yeah, big news around here. My son, Fletcher, he did a summer of podcasting with me. He's graduated by the time this episode comes out. So that's exciting stuff.
Good
I'm pretty
stuff.
stoked. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, he made it. No more arguments about grades. Oh, I don't even know what I'll do with myself. You know, Fletcher, I'm so proud of the man he's becoming. Like, he is such a huge-hearted kid, and his responsibility is finally coming around and things like that. But goodness gracious, trying to get him to do schoolwork through school has just been an absolute nightmare. He's just been very ornery about it. So we've done that.
On to the next phase.
Yes, college and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Endless Night is now out. And the print and audio, I'm just waiting on the powers that be to give that the all thumbs up on those. And then, like I mentioned last week, we'll have some free audiobook codes to give out, and that's always fun.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I saw you have the autograph copies online.
Yep. got those ready to go. I'll be putting up the, I'll have it up by the time this comes out, the book bundle. And I'm going to heed my co-partner's advice. So if you buy 6 books, I'm going to give you a free Changing Earth t-shirt with that order, and that'll be fun. So if you need the whole series, birthdays, things like that, coming up, summer reading.
It's a great way to entertain and ease them into the prepper thing.
Right? Yeah, these stories are great that way too, because it doesn't smash you over the head with products placed in there and stuff like that.
Nope.
Okay, so last week, Dexter was caught by the feds. So we read the chapter there.
How could that plan go wrong?
Right? I mean, it looks so easy. Driving around with a dead body in your car is no big deal. So
just change your name.
Exactly. Yeah, so that'll be fun to see what happens to him. But this week, we are catching up with where Erica is. Yeah, let's go ahead and get on into it, and then we'll catch up and kind of share some of our feelings and some of the revelations about it afterwards. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into chapter 3 of The Endless Night. Chapter 3. The morning of September 14th. Erica Moore waited in a home outside the Capitol under T.J. Swenson's vigilant eye. The cold steel of the cuffs around her wrists and ankles connected her to the wall, so she could not escape. Those were not the chains that concerned her. It was the one she wore around her neck. Swenson left its weight there just to torment her. After enduring days of being dragged around by it, her neck was swollen, chafed, and displayed brilliant bruises. Her throat was sore on the inside as well, and it hurt to swallow. She thought of how nice it would be to have a big glass of ice water to soothe it as she watched Alan Bishop and Commander Carl Gray sitting at a table playing cards. Bishop was Commander Gray's right-hand man. His quiet, reserved mannerisms suited Erica just fine. She watched his square jaw and average-sized head produce a poker face that even Commander Gray couldn't read. She realized she'd never seen him with his hat off and didn't even know if there was hair under there. Commander Gray's head was much more rounded, and his look was always cold and stern. It had nothing to do with the game of cards he was engaged in. The only time Erica remembered seeing him smile was when Swenson's whip Sheila was working her over. His brown hair hung in his face as he threw a chip across the table. Swenson wasn't playing in the card game. He just sat at the table staring at her, daring her to make a wrong move. His deep-set eyes were dark with anger, and the stubble on his head and face were maintained at that length on purpose. His nose dominated his face and made his eyes appear even darker as they glared at Erica. Standing in the chains, she dreamed of sitting down to rest. Many days passed since she ate last, and she was feeling weak. The men gave her small sips of water to keep her body alive, but after she killed their friend Serge, even Bishop, who had stuck up for her because of his occupation as a medic, barely tolerated her anymore. All of them except Swenson. He had become obsessed with her. Erica hated him with the deepest hatred she ever felt. He had taken the love of her life away from her. She bided her time in the chains, waiting for the perfect moment to kill him. Commander Gray looked to the door as it opened. "It's about time," he said, standing up from the table. "Sorry, sir, the transport was late," a woman's voice replied, "and I had to wait for the dress." Erica's head snapped towards the door at the sound. She recognized the voice. Swenson watched her carefully, noting Erica's body language. The woman came in the door as Bishop shut it behind her. She was carrying boxes and almost dropped them when she saw Erica chained to the wall. "Dolores, my sweet," Swenson declared maliciously, stepping up to her and kissing her fiercely. Erica watched her body shrink from his grasp, but she didn't back away. Not one step. "Come with me," he directed her, leading her in front of Erica. He looked at Erica as he told Dolores, "Take off your clothes." The woman did as she was told immediately and stood there naked in front of Erica. Her long black hair hung limp around her shoulders, and her brown eyes looked different without any makeup outlining them. Their eyes met for a moment. Erica saw a broken woman in front of her. She wanted to remember the vivacious woman that she knew. Her hair would have been perfectly styled, and her makeup would have been impeccably done. She would have been managing brothel activities upstairs while her doctors helped anyone who needed it in her elite medical facility beneath it. Erica wanted to remember the woman that operated a network so big it dominated the entire Western expanse. The woman in front of her was a shell of her former self. The thing that worried Erica the most was that when they did make eye contact, Dolores was looking upon Erica with pity. "I know you two know each other, so you can cut the bullshit right now," Swenson told them, calling for Bishop. "Yeah, TJ," he answered from the table. "Undo Erica's chains." He stood back with his whip in hand. "Go ahead and try one of your tricks, Erica. Sheila would love to come out and play." Swenson chided her as Bishop came over and unhooked her wrists and ankles from the wall. Erica stared back at Swenson. Bishop reached up to undo the chain at her neck. "Not that one," Swenson insisted, watching Erica's hope deflate. "Gotta keep this dog on a leash," he commented to Dolores. Bishop returned to his card game with the commander. "Now take your clothes off," he insisted. Erica looked around frantically. "Do it," he said, cracking his whip and slicing through part of her jacket. The men at the table looked on as Erica removed her clothing. Dolores's eyes opened wide when she saw the extensive bruising covering Erica's body. It was obvious Erica had not come quietly. Her face showed shades of blue and green around her mouth. Her neckline was swollen and displayed scabbing on top of deep purple and blue. Her wrists and ankles were covered with scabs. There were old wounds in a state of healing and new ones on top of those. Swenson stepped up to her and grabbed Erica's chain. "You better behave yourself. We can't go to see the Supreme General with you stinking up the place. If you try your tricks, I'll take you to him dressed like you are now. Do you understand?" Swenson barked at her. "Yes," Erica replied, eager for the opportunity to get clean. She could smell her stink from days of travel thick in the air. "I'll be back," he told the men at the table. "Dolores, go in the room." Dolores followed his command, opening a door to a bedroom. As she entered the room, Swenson followed behind her, smacking her butt as they walked through the door. Erica knew the chain at her neck was going to pull if she did not follow, so she stepped behind Swenson quickly to avoid the pain. Dolores put her boxes on the bed. Swenson stayed close behind her, breathing down her neck. Erica could tell she wanted to back away and evade his grasp, but she didn't. She stood still and cowered before him. "Tell me what I want to hear," he instructed her, grabbing a handful of hair and pulling her head back. "TJ, I promise you I will never run from you, ever," she answered quickly. Swenson looked at Erica. "See how easy that is?" Swenson growled at her, releasing Dolores's head. Erica looked away. She wouldn't lie. If given the chance, she would be gone in a heartbeat. He marched furiously across the room. Erica's feet started taking her backwards, away from his negative energy. Swenson snatched the chain around her neck out of the air and yanked powerfully on it. The pain of days of his abuse made her nauseous. She would have puked if she had anything to throw up. Erica fell to the ground. He approached, pulling her head up in the air by her chin. "Don't you ever run from me," he cursed at her. "Not one fucking step." Erica's mind was in panic mode. There was no escape from this man as she knelt in front of him. Irritated with her silence, Swenson smacked her across the face to try and rattle her cage even further. "Tell me," he demanded. Dolores's eyes widened as Erica looked at him steadily and replied, "No." He smiled sadistically. "One day, he'll tire of you. Then you're mine." He went and checked Dolores's boxes to make certain there was nothing the woman brought to arm Erica. "You satisfied, sir?" she questioned, with a hint of sarcasm. "Don't," he told her, his hand going to his whip. "I'm sorry, TJ. You know I didn't mean anything by it," she begged him, slinking to her knees in front of him. Erica stood there dumbfounded. Her world was gone, and she was quite positive that she'd ended up in hell itself. To escape the misery, she closed her eyes and thought about Vince. His kind eyes with the stars in them stared back at her.
longing for this nightmare to end. She wanted to be back in his arms. He was gone, and she was alone. She opened her eyes to Swenson's hateful glare. "Taking a break from reality?" he asked. Erica stared back at him, unsure how to reply. "This is your freaking reality. You stay here with me," he commanded sharply. "Girl, I should." He paced around the room furiously before stopping back in front of Dolores. "Just get on with it," Swenson demanded, frustrated with the woman he was not allowed to break. He sat down in a chair by the door. Dolores came over and helped Erica to her feet. Then she guided her towards the shower. They remained silent as Dolores started the water running. The noise filled the room. Dolores opened the curtain for Erica and she stepped in, dragging the chain with her. She breathed deeply. The freshness of the water felt amazing. Erica looked up at the shower head and opened her mouth, drinking as much as she could. "Not too fast," Dolores instructed quietly, watching the dehydrated woman gulp down the water. "Where did they get you?" she whispered, hoping the noise of the shower would cover their voices. Taking another deep breath, Erica replied quietly, "In Denver. He killed Vince. They killed my whole family." Erica couldn't contain her tears as she uttered the words. She was unable to hold back her emotions in the presence of a friendly face. Sobbing softly, she washed her hair. "I heard you killed Gerber and Serge," Dolores noted in a breath. "Thank you. They raped Alexis to death and passed me around for months." "Too bad I couldn't kill Swenson," Erica replied, washing the conditioner out of her hair. As if on cue, he was in the doorway. "What's taking so long?" he raged, watching them engaged in conversation. "Nothing, TJ. She's almost done," Dolores replied, turning around to talk to him. Erica saw a large T and a J whipped into her back, along with a myriad of other whip marks surrounding the letters. Swenson walked through the bathroom and shut the water off. "She's done," he insisted. Watching Dolores hold a towel out for Erica, he smacked her hard on the butt. "Let her do it." Dolores dropped the towel to the floor and went to stand by the door. Erica emerged from the shower and squatted down to get the towel off the floor. She kept her eyes fixed on Swenson as she rose. Gravity caused the chain around her neck to pull. She winced in pain, enraged by the smile that Swenson displayed on his face. "Feels good, doesn't it?" he questioned maliciously. "It's fine," Erica insisted, determined to deny him any joy in her pain. Stepping in closer, he said, "Tell me what I want to hear, and I'll take it off." Erica remained quiet, pondering his words. "Tell me," Swenson insisted. "I never will," Erica replied, void of emotion. He pulled her head up by the chain. On her tippy toes, Erica did her best to hide the nauseating pain. He smiled at her as he directed Dolores, "Get the dress." "Yes, TJ," Dolores answered. "Well, don't just stand there. Go get it," he snapped at her hesitation. Erica's eyes watched her leave. Holding the chain up, Swenson studied Erica's expressions. "Some of my finest work right there. That woman was so fun to break, but not as much fun as you're gonna be," he laughed, moving his face in front of hers so she had to focus on him. He looked her up and down, smelling her scent in the air. Erica stood wrapped in the towel, frozen in fear. Swenson tore the towel off her body, taking in the full sight of her. "He'll tire of you, and then you're mine," he whispered in her ear and breathed heavily down her neck. "Here it is, TJ," Dolores said, stepping back into the bathroom to stop his torment. "Get it on her," he instructed, releasing Erica's chain. "If she has that chain on, everyone will know she's a prisoner and not here on her own free will," Dolores advised humbly. Swenson stared at Erica, considering Dolores' advice. He noted Erica's behavior. Her heart rate increased and he saw a spark of hope in her eyes. "Please take it off," Erica begged him in her mind as he scanned her, pondering the suggestion. "You're right, my sweet Dolores," he agreed. Erica almost smiled at the prospect, but her elation quickly turned to concern as she heard Swenson say, "And I have just the solution." He walked Erica into the bedroom behind Dolores. Her heart pounded with fear, wondering what he would have in store for her. "Get the collar out of the drawer," he told Dolores, "and turn it all the way up." Dolores walked across the room and dug into the nightstand on the other side of Swenson's bed. He smiled at Erica brightly as he unhooked the chain at her neck and let it fall to the ground. Is that what you wanted? He chided her as Dolores handed him a shock collar. It looked like the one Erica used to train her dog before the Great Quake. She was guessing this collar packed much more of a punch. He put the collar around her neck and tightened it down. Erica winced as the 2 metal prongs stabbed her bruised neckline. Serge would have loved to see you in your dog collar, he noted, thinking of his friend. Too bad he's dead, Erica yelled back at him, unable to keep her emotions bottled up. Cute, he scoffed at her. Let's see how much lip you can give me now, he cursed her, pressing a button on a controller. Erica gagged and almost fainted with pain as the shock ignited through the prongs and surged through her body. Get her dressed, Swenson commanded. Dolores paused for a moment as Erica regained her composure. I said, put the freaking dress on her, Swenson insisted, grabbing Dolores's head and pushing her towards the box on the bed. Dolores took the dress from the box and brought it over. Trying to recover, Erica stepped into the material as Dolores held it for her. Dolores pulled it up her body. Erica shifted as the material scratched across her bruised skin. Standing behind her, Dolores zipped the back up and fastened a tall neckline around the new collar. It drove the prongs further into Erica's neck, painfully pressing them into the bruising. She glared at Swenson as he smiled, watching her try to conceal the pain it was causing. Once the dress was on, Dolores led her away from Swenson and into the bathroom. He followed them, watching from the doorway. Dolores applied makeup to Erica's face to cover the bruises Swenson left behind. Much better, Swenson chided her. The people will never know what a disobedient bitch you really are. Let's go. He grabbed her by the back of the neck. Erica shrunk at his touch. The agony from the collar intensified. She watched him smiling in the mirror, reveling in his dominance. He walked her to the door. Stay here, he stated flatly to Dolores. Erica looked back at her sadly as Swenson led her out the door. Not bad, Commander Gray commented, standing up from the table to look Erica over. What about the chain? How are you going to control her? Swenson held out the remote and pushed the button. Erica wobbled in despair as the shock rippled through her body. Commander Gray nodded in approval. The Supreme General will be most pleased, he noted as he returned to his card game. Erica looked at the chains on the wall, her heart filled with misery as Swenson led her back to them. He quickly fastened her arms and legs. Then he went back into the bedroom with Dolores and shut the door. Erica could hear his whip cracking and Dolores occasionally screaming. After a while of torment, he emerged from the room, looking at Erica and fastening his pants. Who's next? He asked the men at the table. Bishop went to get up, but the commander stopped him, saying, I am. They each took a turn in the room before finally Dolores emerged after Bishop. She looked at Erica with a miserable expression on her face as she came over to collect her clothes. She never made eye contact with Erica again as she dressed. She was headed for the door when Swenson grabbed her head and kissed her hard. Bye, honey, he chided her as she left.
So during chapter 3, Swenson's evil is kind of in full force there, huh?
Who writes this stuff?
I don't know, man. There's twisted minds, right?
Man, I don't ever want to be friends with a person that can write that kind of stuff. Evilness that was just oozing out of TJ.
Yeah, he's a real SOB in this one. And it's just what you have to do to break like somebody's spirit on that level, right? So, he has to do his job there. Yep. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
Oh, jeez. It's like baking a cake or something, not like crushing a person's soul or spirit.
Yeah. So the when you guys first betaed this chapter, this was definitely when you guys are like, what is going on in this story?
I know I should go back and look at the threads and just relive that because I was like throwing phones and pulling hair.
I could tell from the other end of the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, because I was doing it right. I was like sending you messages as I was reading it, like literally in real time.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. Like I got to watch Ellen.
You are so evil.
Yeah, when she was first watching it, I'm like, or first listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's my favorite thing to do as an author. One of the things that when we open up this chapter, Erica's neck is so sore, right, from the chain, and the sky's all clouded over from the volcano. And oddly enough, while I was writing this book, it was last year during the Paradise Fires. And so we literally had no sun. It was just this orange ball in the sky. And with, clouded over, it screwed up people's gardens and everything because of the lack of sunlight. And at that same time, one of the girls that I train with at martial arts, she was getting ready to leave for Costa Rica. And so we were practicing chokeholds for like a month. And my neck was literally so sore. And it happened right after I wrote this part of it.
She was going out of country, and you were the one with the sore neck.
Yeah, because we both got put.
Shouldn't you have been the aggressor?
Right? No, Chief Master, he trains me for self-defense too, right? So he's like, well, if you ever get on the ground and somebody's got you stranglehold, and you got to really do it, because if you don't really experience it, then you don't know how to really do the move. And his hands are freaking huge. So he's just like, and my neck was so sore, like drinking the ice water was just like, oh, heaven. And so I had to go back and write in more of the motion that she was feeling with that, because I actually knew what that would kind of be like to just have your neck thrashed on for that long. That's not nice. But
TJ was such a gentleman. He didn't make her wear the collar at the end.
Yeah.
The chain.
He let her take off the chain. Could you imagine? Okay, so have you seen those dog training collars? They have like the prongs on it.
I knew somebody that had one in their back pocket. It would set up a brand new system, had it in their back pocket, and forgot and walked across the line.
Oh no!
Shocked himself right in the butt. It was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those things suck. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. Like I don't even like putting them on my animals, but and then having to have the dress like up around
the high neck to hide it. Yeah. And then it just pushes those little tabs right into it even more.
Yeah. He's such a fun guy. And then
he had to demo it.
Yeah.
Man.
You want to know what I think is funny? So, the part 2 where he has him get naked, there was like a point behind that. It wasn't just, it was just him being an asshole. But like, if they would have done something to him to like incapacitate him in that bedroom, then they wouldn't have had anything to wear basically if they could have escaped. So that was kind of my thought behind like why he would go to that extreme, even though he is just a turd. So
I remember we had this conversation back in the day. And the other thing I was thinking is it kind of demoralizes them too. I mean, making people like
absolutely
everybody likes their privacy, want to take a shower, but they're just like stripped down now.
Okay, serious?
Everybody's playing cards and like take your clothes off now. That's
Yep, another like spirit crusher. Because all the stuff I've read about like being in captivity, has been to maintain that hope is what really keeps you alive.
Yeah.
And so you can even like put yourself as an actor kind of and have like a fake threshold for yourself that you could let them believe that you've been broke where you really have it, But Erica's full of a lot of pride, and
I know. I just keep listening to this one again. I was like, Erica, just like fake it,
right? Fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, and then just bide your time, wait for that next opportunity. But nope, she's like, I will not say it. I'm not saying it. Just it's a couple words. Say it. And move on.
Nope. That's one thing I'm not saying, because if you give me the chance, I'm out of here, and I don't lie.
It's fine. Oh,
Right?
man.
Yeah, she's stubborn. So, all right. So this week we're talking about how these types of leaders evolve, because in a collapse type society, there's going to be a lot of these type of people that rise to power. And I found some really cool information to you on this one. So I'm excited. And then you had brought up a recent example of Mr. Kim over there. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, they were just saying that he was upset that his second meeting with Trump didn't go down well, and he executed like 5 people
because of it.
Yeah. So we were just doing some prep, talk back and forth, and that popped up on my radar. I was like, "Can you believe this?" It was the end of last week.
Yep.
That just happened.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
And it was on a major media thing, so it wasn't like some.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it's Fox News. Yes. But still, it wasn't like an absurd or an obscure like conservative. Yeah. Korea, they pride themselves. Well, North Korea prides themselves on supposedly being like a pure communist system. So that's why theirs is so much better than any other communist system. And so, yeah, it plays right into the dictatorship. And it didn't surprise me at all when I saw that article. I was like, yep, that's that leader for you. I mean, that's how they do things there. It's just
iron fist.
Crazy. But I think it's almost like the attention getter,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know how far he would actually go. I think it's just kind of him keeping himself on the world stage. So got to keep the attention, right? Well, when I thought, like, the first thing that I think of, having a king or a dictator is kind of cyclical in history. And if you've ever read the beginning of the Bible, it is story after story about God saved his people. God made his people strong. The people followed God for a long time, but then they chose a leader. They wanted a king. So God anoints one of his good people king, but then somehow that dude always ends up turning to corruption and getting in trouble with God. And then it corrupts his whole society. And so God lets the enemies take it over until they go back to God again. Right?
Yeah.
So King David is a prime example of this. He was just like a little shepherd boy who became one of the most powerful kings. And he decided to get a little bit lazy and not go to war with his men and fell in love with his best friend's wife. And yeah. So then he ends up trying to cover up the fact that he's the one who got her pregnant by sending people off to die. And he sends off his buddy actually to go die. And so he's trying to cover up all that he's done by just killing off people and stuff like that. And so obviously he doesn't last very long in God's eyes, but it just shows the amount of repetition that there is in this concept.
Yeah. It's amazing the stories that you read in the Bible, how Hollywood's got nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
The things that these people did, and back in a time where God was a lot more
present.
Yeah. Blows my mind.
Some of the battle sequences too are phenomenal, how these smaller forces were able to just conquer these huge massive forces. Really neat stuff to study there too. So of course, I always look at the I guess I'm a weird chick. I like the battle sequences and stuff. Rather than the
You're marking the pages in the Bible where all the good battles were.
Right? Ooh, I could save that one and use that concept later. And so I started researching, well, how does this happen? How do these people come into power? Because you want to be able to kind of recognize, is this person somebody I want to follow or not? I'm a leadership type person, but usually I like to be second in command. You know what I'm saying? So I look for really strong mentors in my life that I can draw strength from. And generally, these dictators arrive in times of national weakness, which I found really interesting given where the United States is right now. So economic downturn or national emergencies, and they just come out as like these really powerful, confident people who are like, yeah, I've got plans to make it all better.
Yeah, well, you can see, like, all that, like, similar, right? They've had hard times. Germany, right?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. After World War II, they were in like such economic downturn. The whole country was just up the creek without a paddle, basically, until Hitler was like, oh, we can fix it all. And he did grand things for the economy. He really did. Like, he was on, I believe he was on Time Life magazine's cover even.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're like, oh, well, this seems good. Yeah. So a lot of another thing was weak and corrupt internal national policies. What's going on right now? It's honestly one of the things that really worries me about Trump, not because of Trump, but because he's kind of pissed off the left so much that when it's a pendulum, right? And it swings to the right and it swings to the left and it swings to the right. And he's kind of like pushed it so far that when it swings back to the left, that really, that scares me.
At the mouth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And remember over the wall, he was like, I'm going to make it a national emergency. Well, if he would have done that, there's all like the FEMA laws and everything, the executive orders that come into place then, where those are the leaders, the executive branch and the FEMA board are the leaders that take over in a national emergency. And those people aren't elected,
Mm-hmm.
And so, the left could be like, well, the gun crisis is a national emergency. And now we have the right now it would it's a slippery slope.
The deep state could get their opportunity.
Exactly. That's I was like, no, you can't just go national emergency just because you want to pass a policy through. Even though I believe in it, that's beside the point. So
that's kind of his MO. He's like at the world of, like, the business world of negotiating. He throws the big thing out there, knowing that he's going to try to go after something less, but that's kind of how he.
The shock, the shock syndrome.
Yeah. He like gotta do wow, and then just
everybody freaks out on
minds. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how he did all his real estate and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, like throw a big number and then be like, well, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these leaders, they tend to understand these weaknesses and then they formulate plans for like a convincing alternatives. So if we downsize this into like a survival situation where you were in a national disaster or a localized disaster even, these people kind of emerge as like, hey, I know what to do and I can help us out. That sounds good, right?
Right. Get control of the food.
Yeah. That's so scary. I watch a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff. I like, go figure, right? But they were, when that third Antichrist comes, right, that he will enamor the masses. Yeah. How do you know that that's not the person for you to follow, right?
Right. Yeah. What was the Left Behind series?
Oh, I haven't read them.
Yeah. They made some movies that are okay, but the books are much better. But yeah, it was the leader was all charisma and everything, and it turned out not to be such a good guy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Swenson's not all about that. He's just let you know he's a jerk right off the bat. So, but the criticism of like the spending, the taxing, the bad economy, or it's like a criticism of another leader even. Hey, you don't want to follow them because, what are they really doing for you guys?
Yeah, that's when I was doing some of the prep. It was like, yeah, they create the external enemy.
Right. Yeah.
So focus everybody on the bad guy over there while you're the internal bad guy.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not surprising. A lot of that happens today.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a cool article at psychologytoday.com. I actually sent that one over to you because I was like, this one
It's like,
works.
are they trying to encourage people, or
Yeah, right?
it was like a roadmap for how to do it?
Yeah, it was like 7 ways for you to
Yeah.
become a political dictator. Like, what? Okay, let's check this out. How can I do that? Yeah, but it was really, really interesting too. Did you get a chance to peek at it?
I did. Yeah, I ran through it this afternoon.
Yeah. So I liked a lot of the examples they used, and then the meaning of it. So I'll link that article through.
He gives the title, and then the description, and then the lessons learned.
Yeah, like this is how you apply this information that I just told you.
for each of his points.
Yeah. So his first point was like expand your base through corruption. And he gave like like the Watergate example. I can think of a lot of like crony capitalism that happens that way, even outside of politics.
Yeah, I mean that's how. I mean the whole the typical movie about small southern towns where the mayor or whatever runs everything, and his brother-in-law is the cop, right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, that he's got it like all worked so he can just work his little game.
Yep.
So the author advised that it only works in short term because you're going to get exposed eventually. Like eventually people will figure out that you're playing both sides, or like, you're not somebody worth following. So the second...
I was reading in that same mindset. I was reading some other, I Googled it, Tyrants, and the ending of the whole story was ultimately liberty can be protected only if people care enough to fight for it. And that's just like you were saying. I mean, it's a short term. Either another tyrant's going to take over, or the people are going to uprise and get their freedoms or whatever back.
No, this isn't happening today. But I don't know, because when people are fed, and we'll get down there we'll get into that when we go down further, but when people are comfortable, they're like, well, it's not so bad, right? It doesn't really affect me, right? So,
yeah, and again, I was reading another article on that same thing. It was a guy in the Chinese army, and he was saying, yeah, it was tough,
right. Yeah,
and he made, and he was like, I made like whatever 5 cents or something, but everything was taken care of, and I knew what my job was, everything, my healthcare, my food, my lodging, taken care of. Now I have a pension that's like 3,000 times what I was making before, but I have to count every penny. It's so tough.
Yeah, because I have to spend my own money on medical assistance, and so that's why I say that's how comfortable are people? How much are they willing to sacrifice for in the long-term liberty? Because
that seems to be all the current dictators, tyrants seem to be doing, that whole takeover, the economy and in food and make people want to follow you because they think they have, the sheeple think they have an easier life if the bad guy's the leader.
Yep. And they might. I don't know. Depends on the circumstance. How bad
I'm sure
is he?
there's a few people that would have a better life, but I'm sure most of those people, after they get into it, are like,
oh, what is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so along those lines, number 2 is devise a way to make your use of force go untested when curbing protests. So he's saying, you have to have the monopoly on the use of force. And first thing that comes under that is disarming the people. Go figure.
Yeah, because it'll make it safer.
Yeah, right? Make it safer, because you wouldn't have school shootings. So obviously I don't agree with that one.
And then this is where he was talking about how the people, if there's chaos, that in experiments of groups that have no structure, people will choose a group with a punishing regime. He quoted that out because they correct lawlessness. So people would rather go to that area where people are being persecuted or punished rather than stay in something where there's no structure, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, you kind of know what's going to happen. You're just taken care of. Just stand in line. Keep your head down.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't know. I'm like so like cut my own path type of person. And it's not easy, but man, you're free to do that here. So we can look at it too in like a survival situation. That's going to be the person who's putting everybody else down kind of thing and taking over the group. So that is your like classic militant type leader. So, and I actually know of like a couple of these already, a couple of these groups, Yep, that are like prepared now for the day later. And it's kind of awkward. You're like, really? Are you guys okay? You're like running it like the military at your homestead? Okay, that's kind of weird. But yeah, they do already.
Hopefully they're doing it for the good, not the bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the guy, he's an awesome dude. He's a really nice dude. I mean, we get along super well. And I wouldn't see him ever like being that way, but the use of force to dominate would definitely restore that order. So it's up to you what you want, I guess.
Well, it's a fine line between the good leader, the sheepdog, right, and the bad leader, the wolf, right?
Yeah.
They really do similar things, but one does it for their own gain and one does it for the better of the people around them, right?
Yeah, that's true. And like, so this is happening like when we were talking about the Seattle is dying, it's because people aren't being policed and there's no consequences to their actions. So on one hand, you're like, yeah, you need that use of force and adherence to a civil system. However, you don't want people like persecuted, something stupid. So, all right, number 3, let's move on to gain favor with goods. So offering stuff and being able to restore economies will get people to follow a dictator. One of the survivalist people that I met was like, if you control the food, then you control the people. So you should just stock as much as you can now, basically like storehouses, right? And then you'd be able to control everybody.
Yep, control of food, healthcare, disarm.
Yep.
See later on in number 3, it's some even set up government dating.
Yeah.
Controlling the people.
Yeah. That Singapore dude, the leader in Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. Yeah. But he did a lot of good stuff actually. He like was having people clean up and like, didn't outlaw porn, but like discouraging that type of activity. And yeah. So I was like, well, that's kind of an example of like somebody
that's the problem with safety and freedom, right? Giving up your freedoms to feel safe.
Yeah, that's Ben Franklin right there. Liberty will die for safety. That's scary. It just makes me reflect on where we're walking, like people not eyes wide open, as to where we're going as a country. I've studied a lot of World War II because of what's going on here, and it's just crazy to look at the similarities that are happening right now, and people don't, because I was confused how German people could like go along with Hitler. How could that happen? How could they support him and like think that everything is going all good? So because then you can apply it to your own situation so that you never follow somebody like that, and really scary stuff actually. So no wonder I write post-apocalyptic fiction.
That's all the research you've been reading.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but being able to do that usually restores the economy. So if you can do like a large infrastructure projects that create jobs. So if it was like a survival type situation, I'm thinking maybe somebody who was like, let's rebuild and get back to work and stuff like that, that they could quite easily become one of these dictator type leaders.
Yep. Restore your subdivision or restore your town.
Yeah. Yeah. And along those lines, that Lee Kuan Yew, he just believed that people would be corrupted by power. So nobody should have power except him, of course, because he wouldn't be corrupted by it. But when you think about it, like in terms of a disaster type scenario, if you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, you can have a lot of problems there too.
All the bickering, you never get anything done. You're just stuck at trying to make a decision.
Right. Because you got too many people, so there's got to be some kind of a line there, maybe some kind of check and balance that you could work out with your survival group before anything were to happen. All right, so get rid of enemies or embrace them to neutralize them.
Embrace them.
Yeah.
In a chokehold.
In a chokehold. Yeah. Oh.
This really feels like a how-to article.
I know. It was so crazy. I'm like,
when I was reading, I'm like, this is so like, why is this?
Why would they write it like how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It feels like.
It's interesting. But I thought about, okay, first of all, so obviously Swenson is embracing his enemy there. And but I thought about, like, Trump does this a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He tries to show, like, and I'm not saying he's a dictator by any means, but he tries to neutralize out the problem by being like, oh, it's all good. We can totally see eye to eye.
Yeah, wasn't he with Japan? And he was saying how North Korea's missile launch wasn't wasn't as bad as it was.
Yeah. So, like, how can you really say that? And, be going over and meeting Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong, which one is he?
Yeah.
Kim Jong-E, right? Yeah, 2. L-E. Yep. Kim Jong-E. I know the first is Korean because Taekwondo is Korean. But, going over there and meeting him, that's kind of an embracing of your enemy there to neutralize them. Look, we met together. It's not so bad. See, he's willing to talk and no big deal. Instead of everybody freaking out.
I think he's his whole thing has been the art of the deal, right? He's a negotiator. So he's got to get up with these people, and he doesn't seem like a pushover, or at least his what he presents out to the public. He doesn't just like cave into demands by the other parties. But he's not afraid to go talk to anybody.
Yeah, there was it's way out. It's kind of a squirrel topic. I don't know. We got to stay on. We're trying to stay on task. No, we're trying to stay on task. But yeah, there was an article about Obama going down to Brazil and just like, oh, Americans can buy guns anywhere. Yeah, automatic. That we can buy machine guns and everything. I'm like, oh, sure.
What store was that?
I know, right? I'm like, whoa, where did I get that gun? Yeah. Anyway, you can look. Anybody out there listening can look it up. It was pretty sickening.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on. Number 5, create a common enemy. So we talked about this one. Like, if you can distract people to look, he's the bad guy, not me.
Yeah.
They're the ones causing dissension, not me. So that works. So that's why war is really in their favor.
Right, because you focus all their energy on.
And that of the people, right? Like, oh, we hate them so bad. We're all lining up to go to war, right?
Yeah. Do this for all the good of the country.
Yeah, and then on this article, like you say, it was really weird. Having generals in top political positions helps. Like, I was like, okay, so you want to start a war when leadership position is insecure and then put your generals in the top positions to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, number 6, manipulate the people. So control of information stops criticisms of your actions.
Turn the media into a
Yep.
propaganda machine.
Yeah, which is basically already done in this country. Have you seen how many people are like interrelated to politicians and working in the media?
It's amazing when it gets listed. I mean,
Yeah.
the major news anchor is married to this, or is
Yeah, or
crazy.
they're like, they're husband and wife, and they
Yep.
work as the executive producer at blah, 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 and they work at the leadership role and da-da-da. And you're like, well, what? Well, no wonder it's gone a little biased.
Yeah, that fourth pillar is kind of like tipping into the other.
Yeah. And so the guy too, he's like, or build your own media empire, which a lot of them have done.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So have you heard about, because it was CRTV and now it's Blaze TV? Have you heard about that?
What? No.
It's like Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
Because he was Blaze TV, but he went together with CRTV, and that's like, oh gosh, a bunch of the guys, Hero, and who's the other guy that's really outspoken? Anyway,
what you're talking about
bunch of them.
He used to be on at night here.
Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe signing up for it. I just don't watch that much TV. I have no time. So
Glenn Beck, I was like intrigued with him, and then I felt like he went off the deep end, and I stopped listening to him.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where he is now anymore.
He gets emotional on and off, which I understand. He's been like beating his head against this wall for a long time.
Mark Levin, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that the guy? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of understand. Like for me, writing my first book and stuff was imaginatory. I always grew up a country girl. But man, after I did my first book and that, I really delved into the survival training and knowledge and what could happen, scenarios and that. And it can get a little depressing, right? So you have to kind of like put that in check. Yeah. And so Glenn was kind of the same way because he delved so hard into like the inner corruption and all that. And it really never ends, right? It's not like he's ever not going to have stuff to report on as far as that goes. So when you're like kind of just like swimming through the slime all day, every day, I could see how that would really start to wear on you.
And he left. He was like on Fox, wasn't he? Or he left to start up his own company.
Yeah, Mercury. Yeah,
and I'm sure that was an uphill.
Yeah, but it's working.
Yeah.
And now they're doing the CRTV. So I still listen to his podcast now and again. And they had Blaze TV on Direct TV. I believe you can get it. I think we have Dish now. It might be flip-flopped. But the other one, we had it. This one, we don't.
Levin.
Oh, no. I canceled.
Because Levin did the same thing. He started up his own network, too. So they must combining their forces.
Right. Everybody bonded together. There's another guy even, and he used to do a podcast a lot. His stuff is a little bit more humorous usually. But he did a lot of the booths for like anti-gun, let's talk guns, and stuff like that, to try and get people to understand how stupid they're.
Oh, yeah. He's the Canadian?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, he's like, talk me out of being whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
He goes to like college campuses. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, so there we go, the media empires, and then create an ideology to justify your position. So giving people a spiritual reason to follow you. And like I said before, this is one of the things that really freaks me out because, we've all been kind of waiting for like that leader that we could follow. I know I have, for like to bring kind of a moral standing back to society and things like that. But in the Bible, it tells you very specifically that like many people are going to be fooled by the Antichrist when he comes on the scene. And so that is like, well, then how do you ever know what is right? So I guess you just got to go with your heart. Oh, but from the how-to article, we're supposed to build buildings and erect statues in your honor and get the church on your side. So that's how you become a dictator.
I was reading about, I was trying to find the king. An English king was mad at the Pope because he couldn't get his wedding annulled. So he's like, he started his own,
so he started
religion.
like the Church of England.
It's the Church of England, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, I can annul my wedding now. I'm like the supreme leader of this religion.
I'm the leader now. And and that's what's supposed to happen, like in end times. Basically, they say, that when the Antichrist sits in Solomon's temple, he'll proclaim himself, the son of God or whatever, and he's not really, and that's what heralds in the whole deal. And so on that note, okay, squirrel path again, darn it, I'm gonna have to edit stuff. But they're actually rebuilding Solomon's temple. They have it in a warehouse, like in chunks, ready to like be assembled again, kind of thing. But Dome of the Rock is the Muslim worship place, and it sits
Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim, they're all like stacked right on top of each other.
On top of each other, like a cake. Yeah. So that, I don't know, that would all be really interesting to see. That's just future stuff. Another book series.
It's that Left Behind. I'm telling you, that happened in there. They had a whole thing about the wall and everything.
Really?
The Wailing Wall.
I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna even make a note
in your free time. But I mean, they made it into a movie. The movie's kind of like they always are, except for when Changing Earth comes out. That movie's going to be awesome. But
so I wrote.
The books are much better than the movies.
So because I'm trying to get mine to go to a drama TV series, I have written a couple of screenwrites for specific parts of the story to showcase it, and it's really tough because you can convey so much more of what the character is experiencing when you're writing it for an audio read or to read a book. But when you're going to make it into like just a visual display, it's like, really, what were they wearing? What do their facial expressions look like? What were they smelling, kind of thing? And then the rest, you have to it's just dialogue.
Right.
So
you got to get the actors to move and scrunch their expressions and stuff. Where when you're writing, you just write it.
Exactly. I was like, I can see how things get lost when you try to take it from a book to a screenwrite. I understand now after going through the exercise of it. So, the life of an author. Because I like to write. I'm a writer.
Because you're a writer. I'm a writer. I write.
I have a lot of notebooks.
Sorry for laughing.
Yeah, that's okay.
People hearing us like just babble because what are they laughing at? That's not funny. Well, yeah, it was funny because we just went through this whole thing before the show started.
Yep. Yeah, I was explaining my oodles and oodles of notebooks and podcast notes that I have. So, alrighty, well, I think that wraps it up. I don't know. Do you have anything more for us as far as like applying it to a specific type of survival situation? Who to look out for, who not to look out for?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out. So after I get through these 7 steps, like what should I wear? Because I think I got this down, and I'm going to be the ruler, the all-knowing ruler.
You're ready to jump right in. You're starting with step 1, corruption.
I need a good uniform, right?
Yes.
Gotta look sharp out there.
Yeah. Uniforms are key.
No, I think I pretty much got it. That was a good article.
It was a little awkward though. You're like, okay.
Presentation, yeah. Yeah.
How to do it in 7 easy steps. All right. Sign me up.
Yeah.
No. Another squirrel story real quick. Down at martial arts, I was Mrs. Mean Lady. I was very stern, right? We're going to get this done. It's a military environment. And my friend, Mr. Diaz, he teaches like 8 billion times sterner than I do. So now I'm like, sweet, I'm not the mean one anymore. I could still be drill sergeant and I'm not like the most horrible instructor here. Sweet.
It's all relevant, right?
Yep. Exactly. That's what makes it scary, in that type of situation. Alrighty. Okay. What do we got to do now? We got to thank our subscribers because they keep the coffers rolling and the show going. So love my subscribers. If you guys want to become a subscriber, you can head on over to www.authorSaraFhathaway.com/support and go ahead and get signed up there. Really cheap plans and things like that to just help us out, keep the show going, all the way up to showing a lot of love. And I would create a character for you and you get free Change the Earth merchandise and all kinds of goodies. So
nice.
Yeah. Either way, you get access to all of our cool bonus outcuts and Las Vegas years. The cool bonus cuts, the goofballs. With Endless Night coming out, this goes for you too, Chin. Head on over to Amazon and leave me a review. That'd be great. Yeah. More reviews are just more reviews, and the more the better over there. So it keeps everything rocking. So Chin's on the hook. You guys are all on the hook too. Right, you gotta get over there, do some reviews. And then we gotta thank our listeners, because we would not be here talking without them. So appreciate the listeners making us do a weekly meetup so we can hash out things. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's getting fun to be able to hang out with Sara.
Right?
I just yell at my phone as I'm on the treadmill or something.
Right. And then shoot me a message in Messenger.
Back in the beginning days.
Yep.
I used to be on the treadmill every Tuesday, and that's when it used to come out.
Yep.
I used to be like texting you away. Ah! Now I get to voice it to you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting Dale and Lisa to come and hook up with us on a Sunday and have some fun.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I'll wear my tinfoil hat just for Lisa.
Right? Yeah. Me and Dale the motor mouth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I get a word in edgewise with Dale.
Yeah. Yeah, Lisa's the same.
To fight for her time.
She does. She's like, oh no, and both of you guys together. That's why some episodes we leave Dale out of it. So she's yeah. So, because me and him are da-da-da-da-da-da. So
I'll pull him off to the side and talk cars or something while you girls talk.
Yeah. Nice. Alrighty. Let's wrap that one up right about there. We will see you guys next week. And until then, remember.
Thank you for joining Sara and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSaraFhathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there. Then head over to iTunes or Amazon and let everyone know by leaving a review.